welcome back to the Witchy Web We Weave. I'm Alex.
I'm Laura.
And today we are touching on a slightly touchy subject, I guess, for some people. We are talking about, this is going to be another chat and react to hexes and curses and negative workings, I suppose, would be
so jinxes,
broad
hexes, curses.
term. Mm-hmm.
So, I guess for all of this, I guess we need to kind of start off with what
Are the differences.
are the
or what
differences.
they are.
Because honestly, starting out, I didn't really know that there was all that much of a difference. But normally, the way I understand it, it's kind of like having almost like 3 tiers of severity. So the lowest severity is jinxes, which jinxes are, they're mostly benign. They're mostly meant to like inconvenience or discomfort someone. And it lasts for a very short time, and it's normally pretty easy to remove. And you can like inadvertently cleanse yourself by just simply like normal grounding exercises that you do, like any like me being in the shower, like water running over me, imagining like the water cleansing. That would be enough to kind of cleanse off a normal everyday jinx. Which I think, like, I want to try and give like a good example of a jinx. If anybody ever watched the movie Practical Magic, there is a moment where the little girls are getting picked on by the other children, and the little girl goes, "I hope you get chicken pox," and everyone's like, "That's a jinx," because it was mostly spontaneous. It wasn't meant to like kill them or severely harm them. It was like, think of it getting the chicken pox as like you're itchy, you're uncomfortable for a few days, and then it's gone. And the kid did get chicken pox. But, you know, it only lasted for that very brief amount of time. You didn't have like permanent chicken pox. It was just like you got the chicken pox and you had a couple of days of itching and being uncomfortable, and it was gone. So I guess that would be a pretty good example of a jinx. But I think jinxes are something that is pretty easily done like in everyday life, because just by stuff that you don't even really think about, because you go around talking smack and yada 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 yada, and it can be just something as like, you know, it's like, I hope she trips and falls, something like that. It's just like almost like castaway wishing.
Yeah, I could see that.
Which honestly, I kind of want to do like our individual opinions on each tier.
Okay.
So for me personally, jinxes, I kind of like them a little bit because I feel like it's like a minor purging, and it's not a serious thing if it's just a spur of the moment, like, it's like, I hope you have a bad hair day.
Yeah. Because
it's mostly harmless wishing. And it's not meant for any permanent lastings. So, honestly, I do a bit of, like, little jinxes here and there. But it's normally, I have to be really freaking irritated at you to just, like, a little, like, just, like, I don't know, little things.
Hope someone spits in your coffee.
That's
kind of gross.
It kind of reminds me of the Golden Girls. Do you remember watching Golden Girls?
I actually never watched that. I've only actually seen like clips and stuff on Facebook.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. So it kind of reminds me of the little old lady Sophia, and when her family member came to visit, and they ended up not getting along and bickering, and it was kind of like they were like back and forth going like, I think one of the bad one, the worst jinx that the lady like did was, may your marinara sauce never cling to your pasta, and it was like.
Okay, so now I have a quick little thing, because I'm wondering if this would more than likely be a jinx and it just worked because of terminology in that movie, Howl's Moving Castle. When she's cooking the bacon, remember? And it goes, "Here's another curse for you, lady. May all your bacon burn." So the whole premise on that is that was probably more of a jinx than a curse, right? Like really thinking about it.
Yeah.
But like I guess the terminology because she was cursed and he was like, "Here's another one for you." Haha.
Because honestly, it doesn't.
And then she didn't even burn it, so
Exactly.
it didn't even do anything.
It's mostly like just spontaneous like ill wishing. A lot of times jinxes, even if you say them, they don't even happen. Because one of the primary things with jinxes is because they are so low effort. They're so low effort that a lot of times jinxes can be averted just simply by not giving them any credence. Like, may all your bacon burn. And I was like, yeah, sure, buddy, whatever. Like, just simply like not taking it in or letting it bother you is normally enough to steer away the effects of any like normal jinx. Stop shaking the camera. Go rub yourself on the carpet over there.
We're fighting the dogs.
He got wet and now he feels like he has to like rub himself all over the carpet and like get dry. But yeah, that's the main thing with jinxes. Why I really don't have any negative opinion of them, because most of the time jinxes can't even really affect you unless you let them.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they do start to affect you, they're normally so low effort and low energy that you can basically get rid of them with just a basic, like, burn some rosemary, like take a wet towel and like
Basically saying be gone.
basically saying be gone, and it's done. Like, there's no lasting ill effect.
This dog is just doing some crazy stuff, y'all. I'm sorry.
So I guess that leads on to like the next step up, which is hexing. To me, hexes they're wishing bad luck. You're actually wishing bad luck or ill intentions on someone, something, a situation. It's most of the time hexes happen, they're unintended or they're very spontaneous. The thing that makes a hex more serious or a higher level than a jinx is the fact that it's normally manifested by built up strong emotions. Like something has been building emotionally for whoever casts it. It builds and it builds and it builds, and then all of a sudden, wham, often in anger,
The dam breaks.
The dam breaks. And sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Our dogs knocked into the camera and knocked it over. No, don't you start again. No. Sorry, one of the dogs is deaf, so I have to like shake my finger at her because she can't hear me saying no. And then the other dog is perfectly capable of hearing and listening to me.
He looks admonished.
Come up here and behave. Come here. He also got a haircut. So, where were we?
Hexes and how the emotion and
Yes, so
it finally bursts the dam, basically.
yeah, so often it builds, and then often, like in a fit of anger, the dam breaks and you do your whole whatever it is you say or do or think or wish, and it happens. Normally, this has a little bit more consequences, I guess, or it has a bigger effect. And because there's more effort into it, or there's more like emotion driving it and causing it to manifest, it may take a little bit more effort to remove. So you may have to do a little bit more in your actual cleansing in order to get rid of it. Which, would you like to talk about this?
Yes, I shall. So, a couple years ago, I was working for X company. I'm not going to say the name, obviously. And was let go to circumstances that really were nothing to do with me. And I did not feel... I didn't feel like that was fair, and I'd already had a lot of problems at this company beforehand where many a day on my break I would just walk to my car and just sit in my car for the 15 minutes trying to convince myself to not just leave and never come back. Which was complicated because it was a store local to my house that I went to a lot, so just walking out and then having to shop there again would be a little awkward. So I was fired, and it's been, what did we say, 3 years, and they haven't had anyone stick more than a couple months since.
Which, did you actually say, or did you just think, or did you just wish?
I don't even remember, but I was like, because, quick backstory, so I was the only person, there was 2 of us hired for that department, and in the interim for seasonal and all that stuff, we had 3 or 4 other employees come in and then walk out during their shift. Not even a 2-week notice, they would just show up and then walk out. And then the one guy that I was hired with, Christmas Eve, walked out. And no one wanted to cover his shift. So me and my friend had to close that store, and we were an hour late leaving on Christmas Eve. And I'm Latin, and we eat Christmas dinner Christmas Eve night. I had to make my whole family wait for my ass to show up 2 hours late. I was already not happy with this company. But yeah, so I was the only employee to not walk out on my shift. I was let go at the beginning of my shift and told toodaloo. And I was like, yeah, I was the only person that stuck around for y'all, and I hope it never happens again. Boom!
And in that moment, hexes were cast.
Yeah, like I said, it's been 3 years. Just asked somebody that still works at that store to let me know if this department, like, how long this last crew's been around. 3 months.
The longest that anyone has stuck around is 3 months.
Yeah. Haha. It makes me happy. And then she was talking about, she was talking about removing stuff earlier. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I mean, I kind of worded it to where if they said sorry, it'd happen. But that's never gonna happen. So, it's never happening.
And you're just gonna keep it going?
It doesn't do anything to me. I don't even remember it's there half the time. Like you said, we're about to talk about curses, which those are...
That's a whole different ballgame.
Those are involved, and there's things that go into them. This one, I just kind of think about this company and I get a little mad. So maybe that's all it needs. I still shop there, too. It's great.
So you feel it every once in a while, I guess? Almost?
I guess me just being like, F you guys. Every time I walk in there.
Well, yeah, I would say that every time you walk in there and you feel that again, and you remember what you did, and you feel kind of like, I feel like you're kind of feeding it a little almost.
Yeah, but besides that, I don't gotta worry about anything, so, it's free.
You better hope karma doesn't come back and nip you on the bottom, which is an interesting discussion to have when we're talking about jinxes, hexes, and curses, is the fact that you gotta be prepared for anything you send out in the world to come back at you.
Mm-hmm. Now, do we want to talk about that now or at the end?
We can talk about it a little bit here.
So, a lot of people don't believe in karma, like, as a whole spiritual thing. And then, in other videos and in other stuff, people have talked about how, what is it, the Wiccan Reed? Creed, yeah. Is basically, like, do no harm, harm will not come to you, and then if you do put harm out there, it'll come to you times 3, roughly, because 3 is a magical number. Now, yeah, that's part of the Wiccan thing, so if you are doing that kind of stuff, you have to take that into account and know that, you might get more backlash than if you weren't necessarily Wiccan. My point here is, though, that there is science behind this, too, what was it? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you put something out there, you might get something back, for ill or for good. You can't just sit there and be like, well, I just cursed this man and his family for 7 generations, and then I think I have a cold. Like, you might be getting something back because you decided you're just going to sit there and curse some people, right? So, I guess my only thing on that stuff is do what you're going to do, but take responsibility for your actions, and if something does happen to you, you gotta take that consequence.
Which, it could very well be that some point later down the line, some of that is going to come back to you for,
Yeah, oh, I have a story about that, actually. A really quick one.
Oh, it getting sent back at you?
Yeah. And I don't even think the first thing was, I think what they did was in retaliation of something bad. But it still got them. I have someone I know back in Vegas, his mom, I guess, was part of a coven or something, kind of a group of people. and he didn't tell me what they did. They went and did something, and then all of them got hit with like awful illnesses, and I think some of them died. And he told me, he's like, the only thing I really know is that whatever they did, they were willing to like this to happen. So, and like his mom ended up like, I don't think she died, but like I think she got something where she's like losing her memory or something. Like she got something bad. Like they all like got something horrendous. So again, that's something you have to, think about, like, are you willing to accept consequences, and how much of a consequence are you willing to accept? Outside of that, do what you're gonna do, I guess. We're not your parents. But yeah, moving on to curses, I guess, at this point.
So,
You look so good. I'm sorry. He was making this really funny face. Okay.
so when we're talking about curses, curses are meant to cause direct harm to somebody. Like, it requires a great deal of effort. Normally, there's a lot involved in almost like preparation. Like, you have to put a whole bunch of different elements into it, a whole bunch of emotion, a whole bunch of intention into creating or directing a curse. Will you be still? Thank you. And curses are normally meant to be long-lasting. Some curses can be designed with a time limit, or kind of like, what do you call it, like criteria for how long they're meant to last, or what made with criteria for if they do this, then that's when it'll stop. Or,
Oh man, like holes.
Yeah.
So that just seemed like a really good idea. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Like some people do that, or some people just, they go through the effort to make a curse. They don't want it getting undone. Which curses take the most effort to remove, because so much intention, so much work and effort has been put into creating it or causing it. Sometimes curses can last lifetimes. And sometimes they can be passed down generationally. Curses can be inherited. Either through objects, or through bloodline, through direct relation, like all sorts of things. Which you had a friend at one point that you want to just a little bit so people kind of get an understanding.
Which one were we talking about?
The Leo.
Oh! Yeah, his stuff was pretty wild. I don't even remember half that story anymore. But they had some pretty wild stuff to where he's been attacked by, like, shadows, and his dad came at him with a knife one time.
But what was supposed to be, like, the basis of what?
Oh, you mean, like, I just remembered. You mean, like, that time when, like, that guy cleansed him and whatever? Oh, yeah, no, he was being cursed by, like, his grandma or something. Like, we were in Vegas, and this guy, store owner, was like, hey, because I wanted to do a cleansing on my house out there, which I never did. I don't even know where all that stuff ended up. But he's like, hey, I'll show y'all how it works. So he pulled out this powdered thing, and he's like, it's gonna catch fire, so you have to do it in a safe dish, yada yada. And this flame legit went, like, hot pink. Like, it turned hot pink out of nowhere. And this guy was like, well, that's not good. So he sat there with my friend for like a good 15 minutes. Like, the store had closed, and he was still sitting there, like, trying to, like, feel out what was on my friend. And yeah, so he's like, yeah, this is pink, and like there was other colors. I think there were some like purple or blue flashes in there too. And basically what he read and what he felt on my friend was like, yeah, this is someone in your family that's still alive that's trying to, like, off you. Like, this is not good. This is not a happy thing. Like, they are trying to get you. And then, I don't know, I think my friend at the time would say that he was pretty sure it was one of his grandmas that was out to get him. I don't think that guy, like, said it. He just said, this is family. who was trying to get you? And then he's like, oh yeah, my grandma. And I was like, damn, like, that's pretty messed up. Like, what? Your grandma's trying to get you?
That's terrifying.
But yeah, like, there was issues because I think, like, grandma didn't approve of his mom or something, like, before he even happened, and it all happened, and then, like, this kid.
And this has pretty much been following him for what, most of his life, or all?
Yeah,
of
pretty much all of his life, because then, like, because it's manifested in, like, kind of, like, weird ways, like, I think he sort of gave himself certain gifts, and I think it, like, manifested easier and all this stuff, because, like, he gave himself the ojo.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want to explain for the
Oh. So he kind of gave himself the evil eye, which anytime he looked at something, if he didn't immediately pat it, it would break. And I mean anything, like, we'd be out in public, and, like, he'd walk up to, like, a random lady and be like, can I touch your necklace? Like, literally. Because, like, he's like, the last time I didn't, that necklace just snapped off of somebody's body. Because I gave it the eye. So we'd be in public, and he just, like, and sometimes he wouldn't even ask, he'd just be like, and I'm just like, bro, you can't do that. But, you know, most people, no one ever had a problem with it. So I was like, okay. Or, like, he'd look at something on a shelf, and it would fall off the shelf. Like, every time, that, like, some people are like, oh, you know. No, like, every time we were looking at something, it would just jump off the shelf. And I'm like, it's almost as bad as you. Can't take neither of them anywhere.
I'm better than what I was.
You are, but still, like, it's dangerous. But yeah, so, and then something else you could do. But yeah, literally, like, it was wild. But yeah, I'd actually forgotten about that for, like, up until now. But yeah.
And see, I think curses are kind of the big one where you really have to sit and really suss out what your personal code of ethics are, what you feel is appropriate or all right for you to do, energetically wise. Because I feel like this is a really personal thing where you have to sit and kind of, it's like, am I going to be one of those people that if something, like, am I going to do curses? And if I do, what is going to be bad enough to, like, necessitate that it's okay for me to curse? Which I think that's very interesting, because I really did kind of I started out with kind of the innocent notion of, you know, I never intend to cause any harm to anybody. Like, and to a greater extent, I don't ever want to intentionally cause harm. I don't
think a lot of people start this looking to do dangerous things. I know that sometimes people do come across this stuff because they're looking at ways to get back at people. And then it's like, oh, you know, curse your enemies or whatever. And then that sometimes can attract certain people in general.
And that's the thing.
But that's not the common cause, I don't think.
Growing up in, like, younger adulthood and teenage years, I knew a lot of people that they were vindictive enough that if they realized that there was a way for them to put their energy into hurting other people, that they would have.
Damn.
Yeah, I know, it was kind of scary. Luckily, they thought it was all a bunch of hooey, so that was probably a good thing. But that, I guess that's the thing. I started out down my path thinking, you know, I, for lack of a better term, wanted to be a white witch, that I would never do harm to anyone, you know. But honestly, the more I do things, the more I understand that the balance in the world is not just a balance of good. There has to be negative. There has to be, I don't want to say evil, but there has to be bad to balance out. Energetically, to keep the cycle going and keep it. So I understand that sometimes there is either this energy exists or it needs to be created.
And going on that a little bit, just how in Wicca it's harm none, do no harm or whatever. There are other, I don't know if religions, but there's other practices, I'm going to say practices, that follow whatever you have to do is appropriate for your practice. Like, I forget what it was, and I don't want to misquote it, so I'm not going to just tie it to any particular practice. But it was literally like, you know, and I don't condone this either, but it was literally like, if say you're gonna steal something or something for your practice, say like, I don't know, you can't afford something and you steal it because you need it for whatever, right? It was literally a quote where, you know, your deity knows that you're gonna do that, like, because that's already in your, you know, if you believe in, like, you have a path you're gonna follow, and your deity obviously knows, oh hey, you're gonna steal this shit because I already know you're gonna do that, so you're gonna do it anyway, so you're gonna do it, kind of. So there are practices where doing what you gotta do is part of the practice. So again, kind of on what you were saying, at that point, yeah, it's your own morals, because are you gonna do that? Is that in your path? Only you know, you know? You and your, whoever, your higher energy. So.
And I guess it also comes down to, is there anyone that has ever done anything that you would deem that is a good reaction to curse them? Which, I don't know, have you ever had the urge to actually curse somebody? Like to land a whammy on them? Other than just what you did at work? Because that was a pretty general, like...
No, I don't think anything harder than that anyway. On, like, other individuals even. I don't think anything more than that would ever be necessary in my book.
And I guess that's the thing. I've only ever had one person that I thought about it for like a hot second.
Damn.
But it was more for the, anytime that I've ever thought about laying anything harder than a jinx on somebody, it's always kind of been with the thought process of you're going to be discomforted, or you're going to be, bad things, or, you know, negativity until you realize the error of your ways.
Some more hexing than cursing. In that sense.
That's why I said, if anytime that I've considered anything heavier than jinxes, it's always been with the kind of thought process of, this is, you know, it would happen.
Learn your lesson.
Yes, it would be with the mentality of, you will learn your lesson, and then it will be done. And so I think that even if I did at any point in my life cause a curse to someone, it would probably be within, I would probably set it up to have the parameters of, this will continue until you learn, or until what has been wronged will be righted, kind of mentality. Which I guess that was the thing. The only person I've ever considered for even a second of doing something like that to had, in my opinion, done something very very wrong to someone else. And it was almost with a feeling of justice, that if I had done it, it would have been for that reason. That for them to learn the errors and right their wrongs. But actually, after that point, this person actually got really sick. So I feel like life was already karmically, like, dealing out what this person had been... He was
putting out there?
Yeah, he was basically reaping what he was sowing anyway, just... karmically. So I was like, okay, you know what? The universe has got this. I'm just gonna let it do its thing, and, you know, if he learns his lesson, he learns his lesson. If he doesn't, well, you know, the energy has already kind of started righting itself. But it was kind of a surprise to me when I actually first had that moment of, maybe I'm not just do no harm.
Right. I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of people that dabble into this kind of stuff don't so much dabble in cursing, though. I feel like, again, like, yeah, hexing might be a thing, but I don't know, like, and then cursing a lot of times, yeah, it's a lot of energy, but sometimes, like, you have to, a lot of times it's planting something on somebody, too. Like, what is it, like a slice of lemon with, like, nails in it or some shit? Like, there's some wild stuff. And not that that's necessary all the time, right? But A lot of times, like, your curse is
Yeah.
attached to something that you kind of plant on, like, the property or something.
And I guess that's the thing, is even within cursing, there are whole different levels of maliciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it comes down to what kind of curses, if you do curses, what kind of curses are you doing, or what level of cursing is okay for you? Because there are curses intended, kind of like your friend, where, you know,
Which one?
Leo.
Ah, yeah.
Where some really terrible crap was happening, and it was intended to like end him eventually in life. And then, you know, there are all levels of maliciousness to where they can be severely harmed or something truly terrible could happen to them. To there are curses where you are going to suffer, but you're going to suffer until you understand, and then it'll be done. So I guess even within that, I probably would never, I won't say never, but I probably most likely won't rise or delve any deeper than a curse to suffer until you learn your lesson, to right what has been wronged.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything other than that is just way more negative than I'm willing to risk coming back to me, unless unthinkable things happened to warrant.
Yeah, like, unless something just crazy happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, to be fair, that's probably most people's line that they'd cross at that point, you know? Because, yeah, there's people that have no lines, right? Because there's just every kind of person out there. But, yeah, I feel like a lot of people, their line is, okay, something like X has to happen before I do Y.
Mm-hmm.
Just because either just you'd feel some kind of way doing that, or, you know, I don't know, just stuff like that. But, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I thought this was an interesting topic to think about and discuss, since I feel like this is pretty appropriate for this time of year, that every, you know,
It's the season.
this is the season to think of darker things.
Pretty much. But, yeah.
You're very deep in thought over here.
No, yeah, I was just like, because I was just thinking, I was like, I'm never getting that apology.
No? But at this
Which
point...
is funny, because one of the bosses there told my friend that I'm welcome to work there again. And I was like, are they going to say sorry? I don't think so. Which is wild, because people that are working there, here's some tea on stuff y'all will never know anything about. But somebody that my friend knew was fired for theft. He works there again. Another person my friend knew was there and got, charged on harassment. He's still there. The only other person I know that got fired and he technically quit was because he did something dumb with machinery. And that was the only reason he quit, was because it was something to where damage, happened. And he knew to bow out. But yeah, I was like, really? Really? People over here doing illegal things, but me, I get it. Okay. Peace. But yeah, so.
Enjoy this hex while I'm...
Pretty much.
Enjoy this hex while I'm gone.
Pretty much.
Puppy!
You got the little... Oh, she's got one.
Oh, does she?
The dog likes rolling around in burrs. But yeah. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Alright. Well, we'll catch you on the next time.
Alright, see ya.
Toodaloo.
Bye.